After years of silence and scandal, King Charles and Prince Andrew have finally reunited. But it wasn't a warm family moment. Behind closed doors, the king delivered a warning that shook the royal dynamic. This wasn't just a meeting, it was a message, and it's already changing everything. The unexpected reunion. It happened on a grey London morning, October 29, 2024, at the memorial service for the late Duchess of Kent. Among the sea of black coats, cameras, and carefully composed royal expressions, one moment stood out above the rest. King Charles III and his estranged brother, Prince Andrew, appeared in public together for the first time in over a year. The setting was carefully chosen, solemn, formal, and non-political. A funeral. A place where emotions are expected, but scrutiny still lingers. According to Geo News and People.com, the two men walked separately but stood side by side during the ceremony. There was no handshake, no embrace, just shared space. But in the royal world, that alone was a statement. It was a scene many had doubted would ever happen again. For over 4 years, Andrew had been exiled from public royal duties following his ties to Jeffrey Epstein and a highly publicized settlement involving Virginia Giuffre. His fall from grace was swift, titles stripped, appearances cancelled, and his public reputation reduced to silence. Yet here he was, standing beside the king. Insiders confirmed to Geo News that this wasn't a surprise appearance. Charles had personally allowed Andrew to attend. Some believe the meeting was arranged as a symbolic gesture of unity in the face of mounting internal family strain. Others saw it as something more calculated, a subtle test of public reaction. Royal watchers immediately noticed the tension. Body language experts commented on the stiffness between the brothers. Charles maintained formal distance. Andrew, though composed, looked out of place. Gone was the confidence he once held in public. Instead, he stood with a careful, subdued posture, a man very aware that he was being watched. Still, the mere fact that Charles did not stop him and allowed him to stand among the senior royals carried meaning. It suggested not forgiveness, but a shift. Not reconciliation, but realignment. As one source put it, Charles knows the cameras are always rolling. If Andrew's here, it's for a reason. What was said between them privately remains unknown. But within royal circles, the question spread quickly. Why now? Why allow Andrew back into the picture during a time when the monarchy is already under pressure from global media, scandal fatigue, and public distrust? The answer lies in context. Not just of their relationship, but of the crisis both men now face. And that's where the deeper tension begins to unfold. The context of crisis. To understand the weight of this reunion, you need to understand what surrounds it. A storm of scandal, silence, and survival. Prince Andrew's controversies didn't fade with time. They festered, becoming permanent shadows over his name. His long-standing association with Jeffrey Epstein, as well as the fallout from his 2022 legal settlement, made him a figure few in the royal family wanted to be near. Meanwhile, King Charles III has been under pressure of a different kind. Pressure to modernize, to protect the monarchy's image, and to distance the crown from anything that might damage it further. For Charles, every public move must balance duty to family with responsibility to the institution. And that's where this reunion becomes more than a brotherly gesture. It becomes a high-risk calculation. At the time of the memorial, the palace was already managing multiple layers of tension. Charles's own health concerns, Harry's recent trip to London, and growing whispers about internal divisions between the Waleses and the rest of the royal household. Allowing Andrew to appear in public now, after months of silence, risked reopening wounds the palace had spent years trying to bury. But it may also have been unavoidable. As a senior royal by blood, Andrew technically retains certain ceremonial rights, and at family memorials, exclusion could trigger more backlash than inclusion, especially from the more conservative elements of the monarchy's base. By including Andrew under controlled conditions, Charles may have been trying to defuse the situation before it exploded elsewhere. Yet, the tension was undeniable. Media outlets like Hello, and people speculated. Would Charles scold him? Would Andrew ask for forgiveness? Neither happened, at least not in public. But the pressure wasn't just external. Inside the family, resentment runs deep. Prince William, according to the News International, was reportedly unhappy about Andrew being present at all. Andrew's status, for now, remains unofficially reduced. He carries no active titles, no royal patronages, and no duties. The reunion doesn't reverse that, but it does suggest a new dynamic is forming. A return, yes, but under conditions that keep him in line. For Andrew, it's a tightrope. One misstep and the window closes. For Charles, it's a test of how far forgiveness can go before it fractures the monarchy itself. And as the next moment would prove, this reunion wasn't just emotional, it came with terms. Because King Charles didn't just allow Andrew back in, he delivered a warning, and that warning would change everything. Charles's stern message. The reunion may have looked calm on the surface, but behind the scenes, King Charles III made it crystal clear. This was not a comeback tour for Prince Andrew. According to Hello magazine and multiple palace insiders, Charles issued a direct warning ahead of the memorial. You must remain invisible at events if you cannot reform. That quote, simple but sharp, carried enormous weight. This wasn't a gentle reminder. It was a final boundary. And it marked a shift in how Charles now speaks, not just as a brother, but as a monarch responsible for protecting the crown's survival. Insiders say the message was delivered not only to Andrew, but also to Sarah Ferguson, who remains close to her ex-husband and occasionally defends him in media circles. One senior aide described the tone as uncompromising. Charles wasn't asking Andrew to be careful. He was telling him, "This is your last chance." The message reportedly came days before the October 29, 2024 memorial during a private meeting at Balmoral. Charles summoned Andrew to a discreet briefing. No assistants, no legal teams, just one king and one disgraced brother. Andrew was told exactly what would be expected. No interviews, no comments, no sudden media appearances. He was to attend the service quietly, keep his distance, and speak only to immediate family if addressed. Observe, don't engage. That was the rule. According to a source close to the situation, Andrew agreed. He nodded. He didn't argue. He knew this was his last opening, the source said. And that moment changed the nature of the reunion completely. It wasn't a family reconciliation. It was a conditional re-entry, a trial run, not a return. Charles made it clear. This was a monitored, contained appearance, nothing more. For the king, the move was strategic. Allowing Andrew to attend under such tight terms helped ease internal family tension, especially with Princess Beatrice and Princess Eugenie, who have been quietly pushing for their father's dignity to be restored in some form. But it also gave Charles a chance to reassert control, both privately and publicly. The message wasn't just for Andrew. It was for every royal, from William to the distant cousins. The king was no longer relying on tradition or sentiment. He was making choices based on image, accountability, and preservation. But once the public saw Andrew standing next to the monarch, the real storm began, because the cameras caught everything, and the public reaction revealed just how divided the nation remains. The public spotlight. As soon as photos from the memorial service surfaced, they were everywhere, on front pages, across social media, and dissected by body language analysts on primetime news. And while the palace had hoped for quiet dignity, the reunion of King Charles III and Prince Andrew under the same roof sparked immediate public debate. The event took place at Westminster Cathedral, during the memorial for the Duchess of Kent. Normally, such events focus entirely on honoring the departed. But that day, attention was split between the solemn service and the silent presence of a royal once considered permanently sidelined. Royal correspondents from People.com and Geo News described the atmosphere as tense but tightly managed. Charles led the family into the cathedral, flanked by Queen Camilla and Princess Anne. Andrew followed several steps behind, alone, his posture reserved. There was no public exchange between him and the king, but photographers were positioned to capture every glance, every movement. Observers immediately noted key details. Andrew was not seated beside the king, but several rows back. During the procession, he did not walk in line with senior working royals. And while he wore the formal mourning attire expected of a royal duke, he displayed no military honors. Another subtle but powerful reminder that his titles remain in question. Despite the visual distance, his presence alone made headlines. It was the first time Andrew had been seen at a high-profile royal event since his legal settlement in 2022. Public reactions were swift and split. Supporters of the monarchy questioned his inclusion. Others, especially those loyal to Princess Diana's legacy, expressed frustration at what they saw as a quiet rehabilitation. The palace, however, maintained its silence. No comment was issued. No statements clarified Andrew's status. And that, in itself, became part of the message. The monarchy was offering controlled visibility. Not celebration, not redemption. Just a glimpse. And the rest was left to interpretation. Royal expert Jenny Bond summed it up best. The reunion was on Charles's terms. It wasn't affection. It was authority. Still, the risks were high. With one appearance, Charles reopened a national debate. Is Andrew a private man in mourning, or is he being slowly readmitted into public life under the radar? And as critics and supporters clashed, one thing was certain. Andrew's role is no longer defined by blood, but by how far he's willing to obey. And this reunion may be his last shot to get it right. Andrew's status and sacrifices. For Prince Andrew, standing beside his brother at Westminster was more than a rare appearance. It was a harsh reminder of what he had lost. His presence may have sparked headlines, but his position within the monarchy remains deeply diminished. Since January 2022, when King Charles III made the decision to strip Andrew of his military affiliations and royal patronages, the former Duke of York has existed in a gray zone. Still a prince by blood, but publicly sidelined. The palace made it clear at the time Andrew would no longer undertake any public duties, and his titles would not return. This recent reunion didn't change that. According to Reuters, Andrew's titles and honors are still under review, but there are no immediate plans for reinstatement. That's why, at the memorial, his uniform lacked medals, and why no royal press office referred to him using His Royal Highness. For Andrew, the stakes are high. This appearance was not an invitation back into the royal fold. It was a test of obedience. Accept quiet invisibility, and he might remain on the periphery. Overstep again, and the door closes for good. Insiders close to the family told The Telegraph that Andrew had made multiple private requests in recent months to resume limited public roles, charity events, behind-the-scenes contributions, even support for veteran organizations. Each request was declined or left unanswered. Still, Andrew's inclusion in the memorial suggests some form of conditional reintegration. Not a full return, but a controlled reappearance. Tightly monitored and, as always, at the discretion of the king. Privately, Andrew is said to have accepted this position, though not without resentment. According to a friend of the family, he believes he's paid his price. But the institution sees things differently. There's also the unspoken reality that many within the royal family remain wary. While Princess Beatrice and Princess Eugenie remain supportive of their father, senior working royals, including Prince William, are far more skeptical. For Andrew, the question is no longer whether he will return to royal life. It's whether he can live with being tolerated instead of trusted. The cost of redemption is silence. And so far, he's paying it. But for how long remains to be seen. Meanwhile, the one person keeping the monarchy stable in all this chaos is the king himself. But what does Charles truly want? From Andrew, from the public, and from the institution he now leads? What Charles really wants. Behind palace walls, King Charles III is not only managing personalities, he's managing the future of the monarchy. And if this reunion with Prince Andrew proved anything, it's that his leadership is rooted in hard lines, not sentiment. Charles has always been seen as a man torn between heart and duty. But now, as sovereign, he's making one thing clear. Reputation outweighs relationship. Allowing Andrew to attend the Duchess of Kent's memorial wasn't about rebuilding brotherhood, it was about asserting controlled visibility. A calculated show of unity designed not for forgiveness, but for public messaging. What Charles wants is balance, the appearance of a stable, united family, without giving back real power to those who damaged the crown's image. His actions suggest a growing divide between personal connection and professional responsibility. Multiple royal insiders told People.com that Charles's priority is institutional survival. That means tighter standards, stricter boundaries, and no more room for scandal. And if that means keeping his own brother at arm's length, so be it. In this new model of monarchy, bloodline no longer guarantees a platform. Presence now comes with performance. Charles's stance on Andrew shows that even close relatives will be treated like liabilities if they threaten public trust. It also sets precedent. No royal is untouchable. Not Andrew. Not even future generations. Charles is slowly redefining what it means to be royal. Less entitlement, more accountability. This was evident in how he handled Andrew's participation. There was no formal announcement, no attempt to soften the public's view. He let the moment speak for itself, and the silence around it became the message. By doing so, Charles reaffirmed a larger mission: to distance the monarchy from past mistakes without appearing cold or disconnected. It's a delicate act, showing strength while keeping the institution human. But his private comments have revealed the weight he carries. According to one aide, Charles once said, "We are not here to preserve comfort. We are here to preserve purpose." That mindset is now shaping every move. And it's not just about Andrew. Charles's quiet but firm repositioning sends a signal across the entire royal structure, from the Sussexes abroad to the Waleses preparing for the next generation. As this new royal order takes shape, one thing is clear. Charles is reshaping the monarchy not with mercy, but with mission. and everyone, including Andrew, will have to fall in line. The fallout among royals. Behind the scenes, the fallout from Prince Andrew's public reappearance at the memorial didn't end with media headlines. It reached deep into the palace, and perhaps no one was more unsettled than Prince William. According to the News International, William was deeply unhappy with Andrew's attendance. While the public saw a united royal front, internal sources revealed that the Prince of Wales had not been consulted ahead of the decision. It wasn't just about optics, it was about principle. William, who has spent years rebuilding the monarchy's reputation alongside Princess Catherine, views Andrew's scandals as a threat to everything they've tried to repair. One courtier reportedly said, "William believes accountability must come before ceremony." In his eyes, Andrew's inclusion, even under restriction, sends the wrong message that disgrace can be tolerated if managed quietly. This disagreement exposed a larger fracture within the royal family. While Charles balanced loyalty and duty, William represents the future, a future shaped by modern expectations, digital scrutiny, and far less patience from the public. To William, protecting the institution means setting hard boundaries, even if it means opposing the king's judgment. Other royals are watching closely. Princess Anne, ever loyal to duty, is said to support Charles's authority, but remains cautious about any move that might destabilize the monarchy's structure. Meanwhile, Beatrice and Eugenie, Andrew's daughters, are walking a tightrope. They want their father restored in some form, but they also rely on the palace for continued access and protection. Privately, senior staff admit that Andrew's reappearance has created uncertainty. The question isn't just about his future, it's about who gets to decide what the royal family represents. Is it tradition, redemption, or modern accountability? This event has already influenced decisions going forward. Discussions about upcoming public appearances, holiday events, and official royal portraits now include one new standard question: will Andrew be present? And every time that question is asked, it creates tension. Even if the king sees this as a limited symbolic gesture, others, especially William, are thinking long-term. The inclusion of Andrew, even once, sets a precedent. And precedents in the monarchy don't fade quietly. But Charles may have had more on his mind than just family unity, because beyond the emotional dynamics was a strategic layer, a hidden agenda that reveals why this reunion happened when it did. The hidden agenda. At first glance, the reunion between King Charles III and Prince Andrew looked like a gesture of family healing. But insiders insist it was strategy, not sentiment. The timing wasn't emotional, it was calculated. According to People.com, Charles had grown concerned about renewed tabloid coverage of Andrew's past. Old stories linked to Jeffrey Epstein were resurfacing, threatening to reignite public outrage. Rather than let the press control the narrative, Charles stepped in, allowing Andrew to appear publicly, but only under strict palace-controlled conditions. The plan was simple: stage a quiet, respectful appearance, then say nothing. No press statements, no excuses, just enough presence to calm internal pressure without giving tabloids anything fresh to exploit. It also sent a clear internal message: Charles is in control. Andrew's return wasn't approval, it was management. The king placed him where, when, and how he wanted, a reminder to the family that nothing happens without his sign-off. Still, it's a risky strategy. Critics are already questioning whether the crown is masking damage control as compassion. And if Andrew can reappear like this, who might be next? This wasn't a comeback. It was a controlled move in a much larger royal game. The turning point for Andrew. The memorial appearance marked a line in the sand for Prince Andrew. While it was tightly controlled and loaded with conditions, it gave him a chance, perhaps his final one. Now, he must decide. Accept a permanent, supporting role in silence, or risk complete exile if he oversteps again. Sources confirm the king has no intention of restoring Andrew's full titles or roles. At best, he'll remain a private figure with limited access. Future appearances, if any, will be ceremonial, not authoritative. And every step he takes will be watched, not just by Charles, but by the public, press, and most crucially, Prince William. Behind closed doors, William reportedly told aides, "If he slips once, we're finished." That sentiment underscores the fragile trust around Andrew and how little room he has to rebuild his standing. More than anything, this moment defined Andrew's legacy. No longer the royal spare, he's now a symbol of consequence. A walking reminder that blood isn't enough, and scandal carries a permanent shadow. And yet, how this plays out doesn't just affect Andrew. It's a mirror reflecting how the monarchy will survive its next chapter. What it means for the monarchy. Future. This reunion signaled more than a family moment. It revealed King Charles III's evolving strategy. Protect the monarchy by prioritizing duty over dynasty. Andrew's restricted reappearance wasn't a step backward. It was a warning to all royals that legacy now depends on conduct, not bloodline. Charles's actions set a powerful precedent. Forgiveness isn't unconditional. Reputation isn't inherited. And every member of the firm, from Andrew to Harry and even future generations, will be held to a higher standard of public accountability. Internally, palace staff are already adjusting operations to reflect that new order. Roles are being reassigned, communications tightened, and expectations sharpened. What was once a family business built on tradition is now a controlled institution built on image survival. For the public, this moment is a reminder. The crown is adapting. Slowly, but with intention. And as for Charles, the message was clear. This is his monarchy now, and he'll shape it with a steady hand, no matter who gets left behind. Because what he said to Andrew wasn't just for one brother. It was a message for everyone wearing a crown. This monarchy will change, or it will fall. This wasn't forgiveness. It was control. King Charles used Andrew's return to send a royal-wide message. Reputation now matters more than bloodline. The monarchy is shifting. Quiet deals, firm boundaries, and conditional loyalty are the new standard. And what Charles said behind that door may define the crown's future.